thought I would do another quick video in relation to integrating our true nature into the human experience. Now, the path is very simple, but it is not always easy because of the past tendencies and habits to identify with certain things in the human experience. At the beginning, I was pointed to self-enquiry, and I'm going to admit I didn't realise how powerful self-enquiry was, or I should say is, and that's because I was thrown in the deep end. Literally thrown in the deep end into self-enquiry, because once I'd asked who and what is suffering, and I'd ask questions like, how old am I? And is there a past? Is there a future? Is there any good or bad? I was just met with beingness. But at that time, I didn't realise that that was my true nature. I just thought it was a spiritual practice. So off I would go. And once you've seen your true nature, and you've actually seen that there are no problems, there is no past, there is no future, there's only this ever-present fresh moment, which is full of presence, power, intelligence, love, goodness, the list goes on. I went back into the world, and then I would have a challenge and I would say, who's suffering? And I'd be back in being again. But it was like a push and pull roller coaster, going on a big ride, sometimes for days. I'd be on this swirling of the mind, and then I'd jump off and say, who's suffering? Oh, no one's suffering. But the integrating was marrying, if that's the right word, the beingness of who we are, and then, because that never changes, and then the changing realm. So I'm hoping that I can save you some time, even though time is it's only a relative, it's not real because we are timeless, but I am hoping that I can really help you here. With self-inquiry, when I ask, is there a past? Immediately you are positioned in the now, where there is no past and there is no future, because that is the realm of the mind. And if we keep noticing that which has no past and future, that is the awareness, the soul of man, looking at the truth, repent, turning around and seeing its true nature. Now, what I did with how I integrated self-inquiry with what David Bingham points to, when he says depersonalize the game. So rather than say, I am aware, say there is an awareness of, which is really helpful because it makes us know. We know from that direct knowing that we are not the I thought, we are the I am that I am. I hope this is making sense. Anyway, when I integrated self-inquiry with what David Bingham was pointing to, there was an acceleration. And it's more, so you do self-inquiry, you sit for 5 minutes and you say, who and what is suffering? And then you realise there's peace and silence and love. And then you say, does this have a past? Oh, God. Is there a future? And you can ask any question. Can this be sick? Is this lacking anything? Is this unworthy? So you ask questions of things that we've believed, if you are awake and aware enough to see that there's some things that we have believed just because, we fell asleep to who we are. And then what I started doing to integrate the beingness into the human game was when a challenge arose, and it didn't matter if it was a thought, a feeling, didn't matter if it was another expression of the self, or if it was an object, it didn't matter. I would go back to who and what is suffering, because that was my anchor. So it is always good to have an anchor. It's good to use tools at the beginning, even though we're not going anywhere. We are here to integrate who we are into the human game so that we can experience unlimited potential. We can experience no lack and no limitation. So that's the reason why we do what we do. But I would say who and what is suffering. Or if a thought came in of a memory, and it was quite hypnotic or disturbing, I would say, does this have a past? And instantly there you are. You are the pure being with no conditioning. And I would just keep looking at that and affirming the true nature of that. So when I say who is suffering or is there a past, it's just beingness. And then I would affirm the true nature of beingness. I would say, who I am is ageless, timeless, ever-present, boundless, emptiness, and fullness. Because the presence is becoming more potent. And in the beginning, I would be the witness. I would say, right, now I can address this. Now I can have a look at this challenge. And it could have been anger. It was an angry thought that I believed. Then I would say, there is an awareness of anger. That's the first step. Don't skip that step, because it's as if we have to become the witness first, the witness consciousness, so that we become more courageous. We say, oh, there's an awareness of upset, there's an awareness of grief, there's an awareness of all forms arising equally and effortlessly. And then it's like you automatically stop witnessing. I don't think you can start and stop the witnessing, but it's like you just stop witnessing. So when you have become more accustomed, more integrated, words don't do this any good, but when you are predominantly walking as the self, because that's who we are anyway, but when that becomes more reality, more real, it just becomes natural. If a challenge arises, whether that's a thought, feeling, or something that's experienced outside of the body, rather than jump in to say who is suffering, it's more like there's an awareness of being that awareness, which is ageless, timeless, boundless, and you start to go that way, rather than being a witness of that which arose. And by the time that you've affirmed to yourself about yourself, there is nothing to be aware of apart from awareness. I don't know if this makes sense, but I'm going to post it anyway, because it's just spontaneous, and I hope it blesses whoever gets to hear this. But just stay faithful. Just going to end it with something Muji once said. Your head is already in the lion's mouth, which is a good thing, which means that it's just an integration process. But to make it more smoother, pay more attention to the natural state of awareness. Pay more attention to that. Just keep paying attention to the ageless, timeless, boundless consciousness, and the path does get quickened, and the experience is you are the reality. You realise that you've only ever been the reality. Hope this helps.